Hello there, this is Samson here. My goal is to add value to you so that you can become a person of value who can achieve what you want to achieve. So today I want us to talk about habits. 3 dangerous habits that are undermining your progress, that are limiting you. And let's ask ourselves first of all, what are habits? What's a habit? A habit is something that begins with a choice. It's a behavior that begins with a choice. And it ends up becoming something that we do unconsciously. So it begins with a choice, that means more resistance, and it ends up becoming something that we do unconsciously, less resistance. And if you think about, for example, if you like coffee, there's one time when you maybe tried coffee, never really liked it. And then now it has come to a point where you just like coffee automatically. You come in the house, turn your coffee machine on, take a cup of coffee. Not something that you really think about. So it's something that begins, a behavior that begins with a choice, higher resistance, and ends up becoming something that is done unconsciously. So if something that is a habit or behavior that is preventing you to make progress, it also began with a choice, and it ends up something that we do unconsciously. And that's important to think about as we're going to talk about the habits, because it's only when you remember these elements of habits that you can be able to break these habits. Now, I also want to talk about something called the habit loop, which has 4 sections. The first section is a cue. Any behavior begins with a cue, or something what we call trigger. It begins with something that elicits some craving. So the second box is craving or desire. Start with a cue or a trigger, and that trigger elicits a desire in you. Now let's talk about coffee. I think I like coffee. I'm a coffee guy. The first time you see a coffee shop, maybe you're driving by or walking by, that is called a trigger. And then there's the desire to take a cup of coffee. Now you have the desire within yourself, and the third section of this quadrant is called action or response. You decide now to go into the shop, get a cup of coffee. Once you get your cup of coffee and you're drinking your coffee, you're enjoying, what will happen? You will find the reward, that stimuli in you. So that's called the reward. So the 4 quadrant has 4 sections. Number 1 is a cue or a trigger. Number 2 is a desire or a craving. And then there's the action or the response, and then there's the reward. And this is applicable to any habit, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. And it's important because you have to understand, if you're going to be able to break or build any habit, you have to understand these elements of habit, because you will need to either change the cue or the trigger, or remove the desire, or use another means to fulfill that craving or the desire, or change your actions or the response or the reward. So there have to be a point where you have to break in this loop. Now let's talk about the 3 habits. The first habit that I want us to talk about is negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is an internal dialogue that is harmful to our self-esteem, to our self-image. I don't know if you ever thought about this. Who is the person that you speak to most of the time? You'll find it's not your friend, your best friend, it's not your colleague at work or at school, but you talk to you most of the time. You're constantly talking to yourself. You're constantly having a dialogue within. And if this dialogue is harming your self-esteem or self-worth, or limiting your potential, that is called a negative self-talk. Now, what could be the root cause, or what could have led to a person to have negative self-talk? This could be because of past experiences, maybe trauma, maybe our upbringing, maybe something that happened in the past. So you're always cautious and always stopping yourself from doing the things that are positive. So you're always taking yourself out of opportunities. You're either telling yourself you're going to fail in a project. So this could be because of our upbringing, because of past experience. And also, this is a big one here, lack of awareness. Sometimes we don't think about what we are thinking about. So when you're not thinking about what you're thinking about, maybe social conditioning has led you to be always thinking negatively. And that is easy because we live in a negative world. So when you're not aware, this could be also a root cause of you having self-negative talk. What is the danger of having unchecked negative self-talk? What you realize, the moment you start having a negative self-talk, you'll be generating more harmful thoughts. It begins with a small amount, and then it keeps growing, and you keep finding that you'll be the kind of person who's always thinking worst-case scenarios. It's called catastrophic thinking. You'll be thinking the worst of outcomes because you are having this negative dialogue within yourself. You'll always be a person who's blaming themselves even for the things that you don't need to blame yourself. It will lead to poor decisions. Think about this. When you have this dialogue within yourself, it's like having an advisor, a person who is advising you always, constantly, you're always consulting with. If an advisor is negative, then you will find that your decisions will be negative. And last but not least, the danger of negative self-talk is it's going to lead to a negative outlook on life. You'll find that you'll always be the kind of person who's always shooting down ideas. You'll be that kind of person who never seen a solution but always see problems. So it's very important for us to realize that there's a really danger to having this kind of unchecked negative self-talk. Now, how do you break it? So the first thing is, for you to be able to break the habit of negative self-talk, you have to examine your belief systems. You have to revisit your history. Because maybe that could be the trigger. It's triggering you to have negative self-talk presently, your belief systems. And then you have to start feeding on positive information. You see, our internal dialogue does not happen in a vacuum. There must have been some ingestion of negativity that could be leading to us to have that negative self-talk. So for me, the go-to place is books. I love reading positive books because when you read books, you are consuming content or information that is wholesome. And then number 3, find people who are encouraging and surround yourself with them. Because when you do this thing, that's when you're able to break that loop of negative self-talk. Habit number 2, the habit of comparing yourself to others. The habit of comparing yourself to others is another habit that can prevent you from making progress in life. Now, what could lead us to have this habit? What could be the root cause for the habit? The root cause for the habit could be either our environment or coming out as a person who is or don't have courage on yourself, or it could be nobody has instilled faith in you. You see, there's a lot of things that could lead. Also, the social media that we live in today could be the cause for us always comparing ourselves with others. So what is the danger of comparing ourselves with others constantly? Number 1, it's going to eliminate our authenticity, who you are as a person. If you're constantly comparing yourself to others, you will find that you will never find a person who is always or at the whole time better than you or worse than you. People are different. People are dynamic. And if you keep comparing yourself, you lose who you are. It's going to limit your creativity. And this will lead to what? It will lead to you becoming less joyful. So comparing yourself to others steals the joy that you should be having. You'll become less happy. You'll be more stressful. You'll be in a distressed situation. Now, when you don't have authenticity, when you are limited in your creativity and you don't have joy, what will that lead? It's going to lead to unfulfilled living. And then you'll be imposing so much pressure on yourself, unnecessary pressure. See, what I've learned is this. I don't need to see my friend every day to know what they're doing. But if I go to their social media post and see, maybe they went for vacation, then I'm going to be putting so much pressure on myself. Why don't I go to vacation 3 times a year? Why am I not where they are right now? So you see, comparing yourself to others will lead to you putting so much pressure on yourself that you don't need. You're fine the way you are. And then, this is something that I discovered in a really personal way. You will either suffer from intimidation or you'll have pride. If you keep comparing yourself to others, you'll find there's some people who are better than you. And that's most of the time. Better than you, either financially, maybe they are talented, maybe they're achieving more than you are achieving. And what will lead, you're going to be always intimidated. And also in the same outlook, you'll find people who are not doing as good as you. Now that can make you to become proud. And I'm telling you this because of something that I've catch myself. So you will find that you are having strained relationship because you're either suffering from intimidation or you're suffering from pride. See, the moment you compare yourself to others, that means you're losing or you don't have faith in your abilities, and your self-worth and your self-image is being in danger. What I believe is this: we were all born original, and we must strive to live original so that we can die as original people. You don't want to be born an original person and then you die as a copy. Now, how do we break this habit? How do we eliminate this habit of comparing ourselves with other people? You have to remind yourself of your uniqueness. There is a set of circumstances that has happened in your life that is so unique for you, and these circumstances will lead you to the success that you are looking for. And also remind yourself of the humanity, your own humanity. See, everybody is suffering. And the moment you start thinking, oh, I'm the only person suffering, you will suffer more. But always remind yourself, everybody is suffering in one way or another. And you're not unique because you are suffering. You're not just special because this suffering is only for you. So when you're suffering, remind yourself of your humanity. When you find yourself comparing yourself, ask yourself, how am I unique in this situation? See, not unless you're okay with who you are as a person, not unless you're okay with the success that you are having today, you will never be fulfilled. You will never build up something that is significant and outstanding. But you have to be okay. Say, you know what? Where I've come from, my background is somewhere I celebrate. I have joy and have prestige where I come from. And now where I'm going will be unique because of where I'm coming from and where I am today. So it's very important for you to be okay with where you are, where you're coming from, and what you want to achieve. Have faith in yourself. I'm a person of faith. And the way I build up my faith in me is by believing what God has said about me, what the scripture has said about me. That's how I build up the confidence on Samson. So how do you build confidence? Find a way to build confidence or have faith in yourself. Either surround yourself with people who are going to always encouraging you, read books that are affirming who you are. Find a way to encourage yourself. If you're a person of faith, go into the scripture. Serve other people. Serve other people from your best authentic self. You see, when you start serving people, you'll realize that you're forgetting about who you are. You stop worrying about yourself too much. You stop worrying about how you compare to others. Because what I've learned is this: you can serve people who are more successful than you. You can serve people who are less successful than you. So serve people with your best authentic self. And this is how you break or eliminate this habit. Habit number 3, the habit of fearing to fail. See, sometimes, the first time you could be afraid to do something new. That's natural. But it can get to a place where that becomes something that you don't even think about. You're always saying no to opportunities. You're either saying no to projects at work or to serve someone because you're afraid. And this is happening subconsciously. You're afraid of failing. This could be because of fear of judgment. Fear produces more fear. Misunderstanding also of fear of failure. When we misunderstand failure, this could also lead to us fearing to fail. The danger of fearing failure is that we'll find that we are imprisoned in our comfort zone. You will never want to move out of your town. You'll never want to move out of your friend circle. You'll always want to be surrounded with the same people. You'll never want anything to change because you're in a comfort zone, because you're afraid to fail. Your goals will remain unachieved. And I don't think that's what you want. You want to start building and keep building until your goals are achieved. But if you fear to fail, then your goals will remain unachieved. And then you'll see that you don't utilize your potential. Those are big things that we have to be worried about. Not coming out of your comfort zone, having your goals not achieved and not fulfilling your potential. How do you break this habit of fear of failure? I believe that is only one way. You have to change from that negative outlook of failure to a positive outlook on failure. Change from the negative outlook on failure to a positive one. Take failure positively. Now, this is weird. I will sound crazy. How do you look failure and positive in the same sentence? It's possible. I've practiced so many times. You have to start thinking, or you have to shift your mindset. You have to shift your mindset so that you can start taking positively. You can start taking failure positively. You have to see failure as part of the journey. That's the mindset. In my journey, I'm going to fail. Because you will not be the first one, you will not be the last one to fail. Don't look at a failure as a destination. Failure has never been a destination. It's always an event that do not have to define who you are. Don't allow the fear of failure. Start thinking, okay, this failure will define who I am. But also have the mindset, I can overcome failure because it's a one-time event which doesn't need to be repeated, and I can learn from it. How do you learn from failure? You learn from failure by taking full responsibility of that event. This will prevent you from becoming a victim or shifting blame. Examine the actions and the choices that has led to that failure. That's how now you're taking fully your responsibility. You're taking responsibility fully of your failure. And then pick up what you have learned so that you can be able to use it moving forward. Now, we break from the habit of failure, or fear of failure, by doing what? Seeing failure as part of the journey, not a destination. Not allowing failure or an event of failure to define you, and also by believing you can overcome failure and learn from it. So I believe that when we look into our lives and identify these habits, if you see a root of negative self-talk, if you see a root of comparing yourself to other people all the time, if you have a root in you that is fearing to fail, uproot those roots right now. And I believe that you'll make more progress when you eliminate these habits. So if this was of value to you, if you found this to be worthy in helping you make progress in life and become more successful, click the like button. This will help this reach more people. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Again, my goal is to add value to you so that you can become a person of value who achieves goals and serve other people. Thank you so much for your time. Be blessed.